Hi everyone, welcome back to Alright. Sorry, I couldn't say welcome. Hi everyone, welcome back to Women Crush It Wednesdays. Today I have Allie with me and we're gonna sit and just talk about recovery. Allie, you're coming up on 5 years sober this month, right?
Yep, next week.
That's so amazing. How did you get here?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into it. For me, I had been to treatment numerous times. I was one of those people that got caught up in the Florida shuffle and kept in and out of treatment, in and out of halfway houses, and I just didn't understand why I couldn't stay clean. I didn't get it because I really wanted to. But the thing is, I would never take any suggestions, and I would always fight the process. So June 12th, 2014, I finally surrendered, and I just did anything that was told of me, not because I wanted to, but just because I always say, what's worse than dying is not dying and living in the misery of addiction, and that's what was happening for me.
Did you go through the 12 steps before this time?
I had tried to do so many different things, and my sponsor would always tell me I had a buffet style program, so I would take what I wanted and leave the rest. So my first time around, I said, okay, I'll do the steps, but I won't do any of the ones that have God in it. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, that's 2 through 12, right? So each time I would relapse, I would become a little bit more open-minded and do a little bit more. So there were times where I did complete the 12 steps, but I stalled on my amends, or I didn't reach out and bring someone else to the 12 steps, or I stopped going to meetings, or I stopped praying and I lost a spiritual connection, or I never had a spiritual connection. Because for me, the 12 steps are just 1/3 of my recovery. The other 2 is unity, surrounding myself with people, and a service, so giving it back.
Right. For me, it was a little different, I'd never gone through them before.
I think it's so important to talk about, here are 2 totally different stories, but we all came together for with the common solution, right? Yeah. And so there are people who have been to treatment so many times, and that's what I want to stand up for those people and say, please don't give up hope. And my childhood best friend is in treatment right now, and it's her first time.
Right.
And she's worried that I'm not going to be able to get on my first time, and I try to explain to her, if you do
right.
everything that is suggested to you, absolutely, you can have long-term sobriety as well.
Exactly. And I stayed sick for a really long time. I didn't want to give any of this a chance. I really did not. I fought my mother as hard as I could to not do any of this, and then it just came to a point where I knew I couldn't keep living the way I was living. I was so tired of accepting the life I gave myself. I knew I was worth a little something more, even though it was so tiny and such a little whisper at that moment. I decided, you know what, let's go. And at first I didn't want this, I kind of did it to run away, but you know what, I ran in the right direction at this point,
Right.
But so you can, a million different tries or one try, it can happen if you're willing to let that happen.
Absolutely.
So I was told I should ask you, do you have a disclaimer when you get sponsees?
That's a great question. So my disclaimer is I'm not a relationship coach, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not a therapist. I'm here to bring you through the 12 steps. Yeah, I'm here to bring you through the 12 steps, and that's my only job. And that trust is super important, so all I have to offer you is my experience, and I ask that what I share with you stay between us, because trust is huge, and that's another thing, between women especially, that we have to stick up for each other and we have to protect each other.
100%. But that's also why you get a support network.
Absolutely.
You build your foundation so you have your go-to people, you know what I mean? And you have your sponsor to guide you through your spiritual experience,
That's right.
Yep. It's pretty amazing, And every time I sit with somebody, I'm just always we come from 2 totally different backgrounds, different times, you know what I mean? And it's but we're here for the same cause.
That's right.
And I think it's, I tell the girls in my house, we're all on the same football field. We all play different positions, but we're on the same field at the same end goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. I love that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So I've been in recovery for about 1.5 years now, and honestly, it has not been the easiest for me. And you've been doing this for almost 5 years now. What would be your advice to someone who's struggling in sobriety?
Well, I think you touched on it earlier. I think a support group for me was key. So a strong support group of women who had what I wanted, who had more time than me. I'm so forever indebted to the women that I had in my early sobriety, because there were times where there was no God in my life. I was depressed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I hated my job. And sobriety and early recovery is hard, right? For anybody, especially like you're learning how to live your life. Like I always say, as a 24-year-old child living in a halfway house, you know. But there were times where literally like the women would drag me out of bed and force me to go to meetings and force me to speak when I didn't want to and force me to go to the beach when I didn't want to and just help me to get out of myself.
100%. Yeah. And like for me, I always say this and I'll keep saying it because it took some time, you know, to build that foundation. But you got to stick close. Right. You have to, you know, and just reach out when you need to, you know. But thank you for sitting with me. I appreciate you coming out.
So excited.
Thank you, and we'll see you next time. That's it. We'll see you next Wednesday.